Hi, my name is Rachel Fallick. I'm a senior studying print journalism. I've noticed that you've covered a lot of really pivotal moments in Congress, including when Senator John McCain shut down the healthcare bill.
Yeah.
What was it like to cover him that night?
Well, that was luck. There was also knowing after a few years of covering the place that given that I wasn't covering every moment of the healthcare debate, I knew where I was going to be needed, and it was closer to the end when they actually voted and this bill actually came up for a vote. We have several fantastic colleagues. Paige Cunningham, who writes a newsletter all about healthcare debate that you can subscribe to, the Health 202. Kelsey Snell, who covers all things money and budgetary up on the Hill. Sean Sullivan, who covers Republicans more closely than I do. I focus more on the Democrats and on sort of broader congressional issues. They all were sort of dealing with it every day, and we knew we were entering this period where they were going to run overnight and probably come back the next morning and finish it off. So I had been dealing with some other stuff and knew I had to be away for that weekend. I said, here, I'll do this. I'll come in Thursday night into Friday morning. You all rest up, because you do have to rest up in these situations. You've got to be clear-eyed, you've got to be focused, you've got to be able to crank out a lot and do it quickly, but also in the smart way that the Washington Post does it. So I said, I'll go in that night. And I did. What we realized at about 11 o'clock, though, is that this wasn't going to stretch until the morning, probably. It was probably going to get settled in the middle of the night. So I was there with another colleague, and he was going to deal with sending out the information that needs to get to the news desk quickly so you can get your email alert or see the tweet that says it's happened. And I was going to sit in the chamber. The problem, or the austere tradition of the Senate, is that you're not allowed to bring any electronic devices in there. You can only really bring a notebook and a pen, which is fine, but it's really next to the Supreme Court chamber, one of the two last vestiges of this in Washington. We've been fighting it for a while because the House lets you bring in your laptop. You just can't record it, but you can sit in there up at the top and be writing your story basically while watching it or tweeting all about it. Can't do that in the Senate. So I said, I'll go in, let me just watch the scene and soak it up for a little bit. And then he was going to leave, and I was going to replace him and be the guy that dealt with this through the night in the event that it happened. Well, it wasn't going to happen. And we'd seen that McCain suddenly told a bunch of reporters, stay tuned about his plans. And I thought, he's just blowing smoke. This is what he does. And he's in a moment right now. Obviously, he'd just come back from his diagnosis, and to me, initially, wrongly, it felt like he was just sort of milking the moment. But he shows up on the Senate floor, and he takes a seat next to Lindsey Graham, his good buddy, and you can see almost immediately by virtue of his body language that he's furious. And suddenly it was evident to me and a few others that were up there. I was like, he's going to be against this thing. And if he's against it, along with Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, that's it. So all we did then at that point was keep an eye on him. And he's there with Lindsey Graham. Suddenly the vice president's on the floor, conferring with Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn and Jeff Flake. They send Jeff Flake over to try one last time. McCain doesn't budge, so suddenly the vice president walks over. In the meantime, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski had come over. Literally, it appeared.
And where are you?
For air cover.
Where are you?
I'm up in the rafters. We call it the gallery that overlooks. And so there's three sides of the room are reserved for the general public or for guests of the senators. And the fourth side is for us, and we're right over the dais of the Senate. So we could literally drop, and somebody did that night, a notebook, and it would hit the person in the chair. So we could literally like sort of lean over and watch the whole scene. But the thing you have to appreciate, and this is why I think that story resonated so much with people, is we don't see drama like that anymore really at all in either chamber. You can count on your hand, one hand, probably over the course of 2 years, the dramatic votes that come down to the wire. This was going to be one, but it played out far more dramatically than we thought. And I just kept saying to people, I was like, you have to appreciate that we don't see that anymore. That's why we're up here. We want to see that. We expect that. That's the way it used to be. But the way things are right now, everything is a messaging vote, and it's all sort of pre-scheduled, and you know what's going to happen. This one we didn't know. So it played out literally like a 100-character drama, because you could have been watching other parts of the room and you realized that over here, this other senator was actually trying to get people to sign on to a letter about something else, and she was running around the room furiously trying to find people to do that. You would see that Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin were sitting down in the front going, this is going to happen. It's going to cut our way. And they were telling everyone, like, just, chill out, behave yourselves. And you could see over on the Republican side, at first they're all like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then they're like, what's the delay? And then they look over and they realize, oh, this isn't going the way we thought. And so there were various conversations. Pence came over, tried to talk to McCain. They walked out at one point. We were told later that it was the president trying to ask McCain at the last second. He said no. Ultimately, the vote went the way it did. But that was just knowing that what we were witnessing was worth sticking around for, and don't move and don't lose your spot.